session. I remember you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome for those who have attended before and for the new ones who are just here for today's session. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll start by looking at personal statements, the personal profile one for your CV, the short one that you write in your CV. Okay, so this is, as I said, I will talk about 3 different types. This is the first one, which is the short one that you write in your CV. Some people call it personal profile. Some people call it personal statement for your CV. So both are the same. By the way, before I forget, it's advisable that you take notes of what we will be talking about today, because, as I said, there will be a quiz at the end, so you will need to this information that we'll be talking about during the session today to answer the quiz. So yeah, so the personal statement, which is referred to as personal profile in your CV, is like a personal summary. A personal statement is essentially a blurb for your CV. It's like quick summary of who you are and what you've done in your professional career. What does a personal statement include? So in terms of length, a CV personal profile should be no longer than 150 words. Aim for a few short sentences, 4 or 5 should do the job. If you're struggling with what to write, break your personal statement down into 3 parts. Those 3 parts are who you are, what you can offer, your career aims. What a CV personal statement or personal profile, what is it? So a personal statement is a concise paragraph or summary which details what you can bring to a job or company. It's also known as an opening statement or executive summary. Sitting at the top of your CV, it's your opportunity to really sell yourself to the employer and to highlight the relevant skills and experience you possess, while effectively and succinctly convincing recruiters that you are a good fit for the role. A personal statement gives you the chance to show off your strength and share your career goals. The personal profile is essentially a snapshot about you that should excite and entice the employer to want to pay closer attention to your CV. So do you need a personal statement on your CV? Well, traditionally, almost all CV types include the personal statement, but in recent years, there has been some debate about whether you need to include one or not. Some believe that personal profiles are one of the most important parts of a CV, as they provide an easily accessible overview of a candidate's ability, while others feel that personal statements are a waste of valuable space and time. This matter belief is often the case with graduate CVs, as some recruiters fear that those just stepping onto the career ladder don't have enough knowledge or experience to warrant a personal statement. Because of this, a graduate's personal profile runs the risk of being bland and generic, which is why some employers believe that they are best suited to more senior professional CVs. Okay, so perhaps think of whether your personal profile can add something to your CV, whether it will attract the attention of your employer or not. Yeah, and as we said earlier, it should not be too long. It shouldn't be longer than 150 words. Yeah, the shorter and the more concise, the better. Yeah, so a personal statement is a concise paragraph or a summary which details what you can bring to a job or company. It's also known as an opening statement or executive summary. So Fiona Stubbs, which is a careers manager at the University of Glasgow, explains that she's not in favor of writing profile as it's hard to get it right, and that many students' profiles tend to include a list of common strengths without a context. In some cases, stating things that should be given, for example, hardworking and organized. And these are things that she feels that profiles can be more helpful when the person is more senior, as they can be more specific about their skills, specialism, and success. Yeah, so again, perhaps think about personal statement when you have things to say. While your CV doesn't necessarily need a personal statement, employers spend only seconds looking at your CV. With this in mind, a personal statement can give you an invaluable opportunity to make your application stand out to employers and set yourself apart from the competition. Yeah, so remember, the employer doesn't have a lot of time to look at each CV or to look at each applicant. So perhaps consider writing a short summary of the things that you could bring to the company and what drives you to apply for the job. So if you would like to include a personal statement on your CV, it might be best as a graduate to focus on your educational background and the career path you would like to embrace. If you have relevant experiences, use these to make your personal statement unique. So yeah, so here it depends on whether you're just a new graduate, you're a fresh graduate, or are you a more experienced person? If you're a fresh graduate, so perhaps talk about your educational background and the career path you would like to embrace. If you have relevant experiences, use these to make your personal statement unique. Work with your careers or employability advisors to hone what you're writing. Start this process early, as it can take more time than you expect. This is what one person that's called James has stated. Okay, before I move on, let me just ask if anybody here has any questions. Does anybody have a question now regarding the short personal statement for a CV? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Or if you prefer to talk, you could raise your hand if you want to ask a question. Okay, there are no questions. Let me just check whether my mic is working or not. Yeah, it's working. So mainly the personal statement include information about what? Okay, so let's go back to here. Can you see the three questions at the bottom of the slides, Aya? So Aya is asking, what information should personal statement include? So remember, here we're talking about the short personal statement or the personal profile, which is a short paragraph that you write in your CV. This would be within your CV, okay? We will talk about other types later today, but this one is the first type that I'm going to talk about. And it's the one, it's like a short paragraph you provide in your CV. And in there you say who you are, what you can offer, and your career aims. Is the personal statement same as cover letter? It's very similar to it. A cover letter is very similar, but they're just different in terms of the structure and the layout of it. Today, we're not talking about cover letter because some people use cover letters in other ways. Instead, we'll focus today on the personal statements. Can we say it's like the object? What do you mean by that? Yeah, sorry, I don't understand the question. Aisha asks, is it like cover page? So you see where your CV is. Let's say that your CV is 2 pages. In the first page, you write a short paragraph on the top, perhaps under your name and contact details. You write there like personal statement or personal profile. And there, it's like a short paragraph to talk about who you are, what you can offer, and your career aims. Aya, could you explain your question again? You said, can we say it's like the object? What do you mean by the object? Aisha says, I know it could be used for applying for admission. Are you talking about, Aisha, are you talking about the university admission, like to study? Because that's a different type, which we will talk about later. Sophia Isa, where is the first statement located in my CV? Yeah, as I said, it should be at the bottom or on the top of your CV. It would be, sorry, not at the bottom, on the top of your CV, perhaps been under your name. So you write your name or your contact details. Obviously, everyone has different CV, but personal statement should be at the beginning of your CV, at the beginning, so that the employer, when they look at your CV, they see your name and then they see who you are in that personal statement. And it's a short paragraph, no longer than 150 words. Yeah, you don't have to write up to 150, but make it shorter and more concise. Just make it to the point. Say who you are, what you can offer, and your career aims. Yeah, but don't repeat a lot of information that's already stated in your CV. Like don't reiterate everything that you have already on your CV. Try to make the personal statement a little bit different to the information that you include in your CV, like your qualification or your experience, etc., etc. Those are already there in your CV, so don't repeat them in the personal statement. In the personal statement, make it a bit unique to show who you actually are and what you can offer and your career aims. But obviously, when we say who you are, you should not be saying something like I'm 22 or I'm 23. That's just unnecessary information. You would want to show who you are as a professional for the company that you are applying for. Where do we insert this part in CV? Najla, I already answered this, and I said at the top or at the beginning of your CV. Sorry, typing mistake. I mean, is it like the objective for the job? Yes, objectives. It's similar to it. So it's like who you are and what you can offer and your career aims. So you just put that there in your CV to show the employer who you are, what you can offer, and what your career aims are. But this information will be in the CV itself. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Aisha, is that you don't repeat the same information again. Yeah, but perhaps if there are things that you did not include in, for example, your experience section or in your qualification section, perhaps you could include that information in your personal statement. So, for example, saying why you're interested in that in working in that career. What do you want to achieve in the future? That's something you will not include in your CV. Yeah, you'll not include this in the experience or in the qualifications. What you want to achieve in the future, that could be something you want to put in your personal statement paragraph. So it will be different from applying from job to job. Sana is asking, so it will be different from applying from job to job. Your question is a good question, and I'm going to answer it, but we will have firstly to think about writing a CV, because that's a different thing. So writing a CV, when you write a CV, you will have to adjust and edit your CV depending on the job that you're applying for. Yeah. So let's say I, for example, have a lot of experience in interpreting and translating. Yeah. But when I apply for a teaching position, I will not include the translation part of it because it's not very relevant to the job that I'm applying for. I'm applying for a teaching position, so I want my CV to be focused on the teaching qualification, teaching experience, and teaching skills that I have. So perhaps in my personal statement in my CV, that I use for a teaching position will be different for a personal statement that I will write in my CV when applying for a translation position. So yes, it would be different from job to job. If you're applying from for different jobs, yes, please do change them and make them more relevant and more appropriate to the job that you're applying for. And obviously that would still say the skills that you have, which you haven't included in your CV, what you can offer to the company, and your career aims. I hope I answered your question, Sana. Other questions? Ala, can you give some examples? Yes, I will. I'm not sure I have examples of this one. Let me think. Do I have examples of? Well, that would, but again, that would depend on who you are. So I don't have one now, but I can look for one for you during the break time, and then I can share it with you before the end of the session. So during the break time, I'll try to find one as an example for you. But simply a short one, less than 150 words, who you are, what you can offer, and your career aims. So if I say a professional progressive environment where one can attain comprehensive knowledge and experience with teamwork and cooperation that can utilize my interpersonal. You could, Aya says, can I say this? Yes, so that could be considered as your career aims. So that's what you aim from your career, or that's what you aim from the company that you're going to work for. So that could be part of it. But also the employer wants to see who you are and what skills will you bring to the company. So say who you are, what skills you have that you think are very unique and very relevant for that job or for that company that you're applying for, and then use this to impress the employer, in addition to your career aims, which you just mentioned here. Very good questions. Before I move on to the next part, I'm just reiterating this. A personal statement for your CV, that's one type. There are two different types we will look at today. The second one is the job personal statement, which is a bigger one, which is very similar to a cover letter. And we'll look at another type, which is the study personal statement that you use when you apply for universities. Yeah, so that was the first type. We just talked about the first type now. Okay, personal statements for jobs. Yeah, the other one was for CV. I know that might be confusing, but the other one for a CV, and that's a short one, 150 words maximum. Now, personal statements for jobs, let's say that you apply for a job. Some employers do ask for they ask for a personal statement, and it usually a longer one, longer than 150 words. But let's see what a personal statement is, the one that you use for jobs. So this one, if your employer asks you for a personal statement, yeah, that would be different to your CV. CV is something, personal statement is something else. Let's watch this video. Whilst you watch the video, I want you to take notes, because after that, I will put you in different groups, and I want you to discuss together the notes that you have taken whilst you're watching the video. Just some people, let me just add them. Yeah, okay. Again, I'm going to repeat the instructions. This is for personal statements that you will use for applying for jobs. Some companies require an applicant to produce a personal statement, and they usually specify what to include in there. But let's watch this video. It's about personal statements. I want you to watch, take notes, because you will need those notes with you in the discussion. I will put you groups after the video. I'll put you in groups, and I will ask you to discuss those points together. And then I will ask each group to say what they remember from the video. Okay, make sure that you have a pen and a paper to take notes, or if you're using a laptop or a computer, take notes on your laptop. Okay, I'm gonna wait for 10 seconds just to make sure that everyone is ready to take notes and they've got a pen and a paper. Okay, now I'm going to play just to test whether you can hear the video and can see the video okay before I before I let you watch it completely.
To make an application stand out, there's a couple of things.
Did you hear the video? Were you able to see and hear the video?
Yes.
Excellent, brilliant. Yeah. Right, let's get ready.
To make an application stand out, there's a couple of things. The first one is to come up with some non-typical answers. If I ask you for an example of when you've worked in a team, try not to just give me an example of a team at university. Think of something like the tall ships that you've worked on. Think of something like Duke of Edinburgh, something that makes you a bit more interesting to read.
An unusual or different activity you've done, something that really stands out, that's different from everybody else and makes us remember you.
Giving us good examples, using different examples, and just really showing what they've done through different types of work experience or getting involved in different interests, whether that's at university or whether that's just socially. So that way we can get a good idea as to what they're like as a person, because that's really important to us. We want to see a bit of personality in an application form.
People that have had a range of experiences, so volunteering work, work in the community, beyond just what they're studying in their academic degree.
You really need to sell yourself on paper, and if you're not yourself when you do this process, you have to carry on being not yourself for a lot longer afterwards.
For me, when I'm looking at job applications, what really stands out is when people can really exhibit their personality and get a sense of the individual, because that's the person you're going to be either putting on the course or hiring. So if there's an opportunity for them to do that, that's fantastic. But what people need to remember to even get to that stage to be considered, you've really got to address the core competencies of the job. So read the job description thoroughly, make sure that you've covered everything, and after that, give yourself your personality a chance to shine.
Demonstrating drive and passion in everything you've done, so be really enthusiastic about all the activities you're writing about.
We get a lot of students that sort of say they have been doing a project on their course, which is great. It does show a lot of skills, but we do see that a lot. So it's great if you've got something a little bit different, a little bit more interesting.
Going that extra mile, and if it can relate to something to do with writing or broadcasting, it could be something simple like you write a blog or about something you're passionate about. Maybe it's about cheese or travelling, who knows. As long as you've written something or you're doing something that relates to the industry, that you can show the boss here that, yeah, you will go the extra mile and you're that passionate about it that in your spare time, you'll go off and do your own broadcasting yourself, your own writing, your own radio, your own TV.
Again, we're looking for students that have done something a little bit different and can show how doing that activity has improved their skills base. So possibly, you know, a particular piece of volunteering work. So one of the key things that, you know, we look for is if they've done some volunteering, say they've done some work in a care home, it's not just that they've done it, but they've got that ability to say by doing that they have brought out a variety of skills, such as being able to work as part of a team, as an individual, you know, good timekeeping skills. So it is all about using what they've done to highlight the great skill set that they've got.
We want people who, yes, have excellent academics, but also have a sort of a wide range of outside interests and any work experience that they can then demonstrate the necessary skills that we're looking for.
The main things that make a job application stand out is if the applicant has actually done their homework, so that they can talk sensibly and knowledgeably about the organisation that they're applying to, but specifically about the job, so they relate their application to the job description and follow it through. Helpfully, it would be item by item, because then you can tick across as you're going through it.
One of the key things is making sure that somebody's done research, and that's pretty evident in a UCAS form. So for instance, doing things like speaking to social workers, or looking on the internet or in the library at social work literature. It then comes across in the application whether people are using particular terminology, whether it's more than just about helping people.
Somebody who's actually really done their research into the firm, and that's actually quite obvious when you're reading through the application form answers. So somebody who's done their research and actually can make that motivation for why they want to work for our firm specifically above any other law firm really stand out.
Also, we look for someone who's really researched our firm, who knows up-to-date information about the firm, so who's been on the website, who knows about what's going on in the business, any recent deals we've done, or if there's any new offices opening, for example. So they've got some really good up-to-date information about the firm.
Really look at what the employer wants from someone in that role. So look at the person specification and really think about all the evidence that you have and how you meet it.
Don't focus too much on standing out in a slightly quirky way. Focus on demonstrating that you have all of the skills and behaviours that we want to see from you and that we've requested in the job description.
And think about the language you use as well. Often people say, I was part of a team, or I did this. Think about demonstrating the competencies by saying I spearheaded, or I ran, or I led, or you know, those kind of emotive words which really make you stand out.
Consider the length of the application. Remember that employers sometimes can get hundreds of applications, and if they have something that's too long, then they may just get bored halfway through and not bother reading it. And if you put all that effort in, it's really important that an employer at least reads it, because the application is the first gateway to getting you through onto the next stage of selection.
Typically, employers ask for experiences of, you know, examples of experiences you've had and competencies such as leadership and teamwork. You have to be specific when you talk about those things. All too often people say, I'm a good team worker or a good leader. Really, they have to be, here's a specific situation when I showed leadership and demonstrated those skills. Here was the outcome, here's what I did, here's what was positive. And that really makes people stand out.
All right, so I hope you've taken some notes. I know the video was a bit long, but I hope that you've taken some notes. Can I just ask this question to everybody? Did you manage to take some notes from the video? Yes, 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 yes. So I've got 4 yeses. Everyone, please answer. Did you manage to take some notes whilst you're watching the video? Okay. Would you like to watch it again, or do you think that was okay? If you want to watch it again, say again. Type in the word again if you want to watch the video again. Yeah, that is the British accent, and it's more likely to be people from Sheffield, which is in England. Again, please. Okay, so apparently many people want to watch the video again, so I'm going to repeat the video. I'm going to replay the video for you. Again, please, whilst you're watching, try to take notes. I know it can be hard listening and taking notes at sometimes, but you don't have to take notes of every single thing they say. Make your notes short and concise. It could be symbols. You don't have to write full sentences. It could be words or drawings, or I don't know. You do it your own way. Yeah, okay, so let's start again. 3, 2, 1.
To make an application stand out, there's a couple of things. The first one is to come up with some non-typical answers. If I ask you for an example of when you've worked in a team, try not to just give me an example of a team at university. Think of something like the tall ships that you've worked on. Think of something like Duke of Edinburgh, something that makes you a bit more interesting to read.
An unusual or different activity you've done, something that really stands out, that's different from everybody else and makes us remember you.
Giving us good examples, using different examples, and just really showing what they've done through different types of work experience or getting involved in different interests, whether that's at university or whether that's just socially. So that way we can get a good idea as to what they're like as a person, because that's really important to us. We want to see a bit of personality in an application form.
People that have had a range of experiences, so volunteering work, work in the community, beyond just what they're studying in their academic degree.
You really need to sell yourself on paper, and if you're not yourself when you do this process, you have to carry on being not yourself for a lot longer afterwards.
For me, when I'm looking at job applications, what really stands out is when people can really exhibit their personality and get a sense of the individual, because that's the person you're going to be either putting on the course or hiring. So if there's an opportunity for them to do that, that's fantastic. But what people need to remember to even get to that stage to be considered, you've really got to address the core competencies of the job. So read the job description thoroughly, make sure that you've covered everything, and after that, give yourself your personality a chance to shine.
Demonstrating drive and passion in everything you've done, so be really enthusiastic about all the activities you're writing about.
We get a lot of students that sort of say they have been doing a project on their course, which is great. It does show a lot of skills, but we do see that a lot. So it's great if you've got something a little bit different, a little bit more interesting.
Going that extra mile, and if it can relate to something to do with writing or broadcasting, it could be something simple like you write a blog, or about something you're passionate about. Maybe it's about cheese or travelling, who knows. As long as you've written something or you're doing something that relates to the industry, that you can show the boss here that, yeah, you will go the extra mile and you're that passionate about it that in your spare time, you'll go off and do your own broadcasting yourself, your own writing, your own radio, your own TV.
Again, we're looking for students that have done something a little bit different and can show how doing that activity has improved their skills base. So possibly, you know, a particular piece of volunteering work. So one of the key things that, you know, we look for is if they've done some volunteering, say they've done some work in a care home. It's not just that they've done it, but they've got that ability to say by doing that they have brought out a variety of skills, such as being able to work as part of a team, as an individual, you know, good timekeeping skills. So it is all about using what they've done to highlight the great skill set that they've got.
We want people who, yes, have excellent academics, but also have a sort of a wide range of outside interests and any work experience that they can then demonstrate the necessary skills that we're looking for.
The main things that make a job application stand out is if the applicant has actually done their homework, so that they can talk sensibly and knowledgeably about the organisation that they're applying to, but specifically about the job, so they relate their application to the job description and follow it through. Helpfully, it would be item by item, because then you can tick across as you're going through it.
One of the key things is making sure that somebody's done research, and that's pretty evident in a UCAS form. So for instance, doing things like speaking to social workers or looking on the internet or in the library at social work literature. It then comes across in the application whether people are using particular terminology, whether it's more than just about helping people.
Somebody who's actually really done their research into the firm, and that's actually quite obvious when you're reading through the application form answers. So somebody who's done their research and actually can make that motivation for why they want to work for our firm specifically above any other law firm really stand out.
Also, we look for someone who's really researched our firm, who knows up-to-date information about the firm, so who's been on the website, who knows about what's going on in the business, any recent deals we've done, or if there's any new offices opening, for example. So they've got some really good up-to-date information about the firm.
Really look at what the employer wants from someone in that role. So look at the person specification and really think about all the evidence that you have and how you meet it.
Don't focus too much on standing out in a slightly quirky way. Focus on demonstrating that you have all of the skills and behaviours that we want to see from you and that we've requested in the job description.
And think about the language you use as well. Often people say, I was part of a team, or I did this. Think about demonstrating the competencies by saying I spearheaded, or I ran, or I led, or those kind of emotive words which really make you stand out.
Consider the length of the application. Remember that employers sometimes can get hundreds of applications, and if they have something that's too long, then they may just get bored halfway through and not bother reading it. And if you put all that effort in, it's really important that an employer at least reads it, because the application is the first gateway to getting you through onto the next stage of selection.
Typically, employers ask for experiences of, examples of experiences you've had and competencies such as leadership and teamwork. You have to be specific when you talk about those things. All too often people say, I'm a good team worker or a good leader. Really, they have to be, here's a specific situation when I showed leadership and demonstrated those skills. Here was the outcome, here's what I did, here's what was positive. And that really makes people stand out.
All right, I hope now you have more notes than before. I'm going to put you in groups, as I said, and in those groups, please unmute yourself and then start discussing the points that you've taken notes of and what was said in there, and make sure that you've got something to share with us when I invite you back to the main meeting. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do this. To collect your ideas together and also to decide which one will present the ideas when you come back to the main meeting. All right, so you've got 5 minutes to do this. I'm gonna set up the rooms now. Please queue again. Is it please the question again? Yeah, okay. So together as a group, I want you to discuss the main point that you have taken notes of whilst you're watching the video. Then decide on which things you're going to say when I invite you back to the main meeting. So each group, I will say, for example, group 1, now please start. And then what I want you to do is to sort of summarize what you remember from the video. Now, who's going to speak? It's up to you to decide when you are working together to decide who is going to say what. And to, let's say, for example, maybe one person from each group will talk, maybe 2 people, 3 people, depending on how you want to arrange it. But please, when you are in groups, unmute yourselves, discuss the points, maybe write them all together and decide which one is going to say them and then send them to them. So I've got 25 participants, maybe 4, so each 6 would be in one group, so I'll assign automatically. All right, you've got 5 minutes, guys, so you need to be so quick. All right, so let's check if there's anyone here. Are you all back in here, guys? Is everyone back to the main meeting? Oh, here you go. Yeah, now they are. Right, so I'm assuming that everyone is here now, and yeah, so let's start by group number one. Group number one, could somebody summarize the main points that you remember from the video, please? Someone, you can unmute yourself and talk from group one. Who's in group one? So in group one, we have Abdul Hadi, Aisha, Fatwa, Hamuda, Roba, Widad. That was group one.
Hello, everyone. Aisha.
Hello.
Hello. I think so. They talk about. I will discuss some point and Aisha continue.
Okay.
For example of a different type of experience. They talk about leadership and the good idea and a personal. You have to write something about your personality and individual. You have to write about your working and community, and you have to write about your work as a group, not as an individual. And you have to write something personally. And the language, it will be focused more academic language and what's your level in the language. Also, not too long. If you write a personal statement, it's not so long. It will be boring, and they cannot read it. You have to write about your leadership as a team work. Aisha, can you go on?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as we did mention some of the conditions related to hiring people. So they are looking for students who already like joined university and they did some work like projects together. And working as a team in university, and this will make it very interesting. Also, experience as well as volunteer some work, some volunteering work. Also, yeah, traveling. Trying for or some skills also. Homework, yeah, he mentioned that.
Thank you very much. That's so good. Well done. I think you've captured some very good points in there. Yeah. So what you were saying is that you need to provide some examples of the work that you've done in the past. Yeah, and to make it more personal and make it more unique about yourself. So don't just say I'm a team player, but say how were you perhaps like leading a team, or how did you work as a team player in that project? You show more examples than just saying I'm a good team player, but you show more examples of that. You elaborate more on it. So that would be in a personal statement. Okay, now room number two or group number two, and in there from here, so there's Abdul, Ala Alawami, Aya Salim, Hanin, Saliha, Sufia. So anyone from group two, do you want to share with us your ideas?
Yes, hi. Okay, I will start and then Sophia will finish. Well, the video was so informative and there were lots of information. Personally, they were new for me, but I will summarize what I understand and what I get. And inshallah, Sophia will finish. Well, the beginning, give an example and what you have done in different kind of job. And also demonstrate your ability and your skills with giving an example, not just like I'm a team player. No, give a specific example and the result of this example. Also, the link of the application, it has to be short and informative. But in your consideration, there are hundreds of applicants, so your application might be short and informative. Also search or do some research about the firm you're applying for and the person you're applying for a job to. What's the company look like? What's the job? What they do? What they want you to do? You have to be strong in this kind. Be enthusiastic and be yourself. You have to write things about yourself. Be honest. Don't make up things. This is like this is the main point for me, because most of the applicant, they like exaggerate things, but just be yourself. And I will let Sophia finish.
Thank you, Ala. I write down some of the notes. One of them is about the applicant has to be or has to show his ability to work in as a volunteer, and he can able to work in community. Also has to demonstrate that. The second point is to demonstrate leadership, whether he is can work in a leadership or in a teamship. I'm not sure. Also not giving typical answers. It has to show his personality. Also, I think
that was enough.
She covered most of the points.
And you added some new ones to it. So thank you very much for both of you. Well done.
Thank you.
So yes.
Sorry, before Adam. Mr. Adam.
Emad.
Emad, sorry. I have a question. While I'm showing this ability, volunteering work, do I have to include official papers?
No. The point of showing the volunteer work that you've done, that's if you have done any. You don't have to. What was said in the video, just I want to make this clear. What they are suggesting in the video, that is just suggestions. Those are some ideas, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it. So when they say things like use or mention some volunteering experiences, they say maybe you could do this, or you could mention that if you have any. But if you don't have any, you don't have to. Yeah? Also, when this is a personal statement, you don't have to send any proof of this. So that's if they require you to. So if they ask you, can you provide us with any paper to prove this? That is a different stage, and that's a different thing. And different employers will have different strategies. But generally a personal statement doesn't have to have any other attached paper unless you are asked to do this by the employer, but that's something different. But as Aya mentioned as well, is that do not exaggerate and do not make up things. Just be honest about what you've done and speak about this. Also, in terms of the language that you should be using, the language should not be academic. You don't have to use academic language. It's academic, something different. But the language that you should use are like words that can catch the eye of the employer. things like I was successful at, or I spearheaded a team, like you led a team. And instead of saying I work as a team member or something like this, just use words that can be quite catchy, can catch the employer's eye. All right, brilliant. So thank you very much. Can group 3, do you have anything to add to what has been already said? Group 3, we have, let me see, breakout room. So group 3, we've got Mohammed, Nadia, Najla, Tahir, Yusra.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, I think my friends mentioned all the points. Just I would like just to put it in a clear point that any personal statement should have these features. First of all, to be compelling, that means you have something that motivates your boss or the person who's responsible about looking for this part. You have the ability to attract him, to write something that compelling him. And number 2, to be professional. I mean, in this part, to mention the things that which is match your post expectation, or the things which is relate directly to the job that you want to get. And I think it's very important in this part. So, for example, if you want to mention that you are a volunteer activity in something, make something specific in this part. Okay, and the third point, you have to leave the reader with a verbal impression of you. So the reader, the person who reads this statement will attract directly to this part and know that you have something special because you highlight something is exceptions activity you are proud to have. For example, if you have the ability to use a variety of terminology, this is something exceptions. So try to leave a very good impressions about what the exceptions are, what the unique things that you have.
Excellent. Yes, I agree with you. You added some points that are new, which haven't been added throughout the discussion so far, which is to make your personal statement compelling, make it more interesting, unique, and specific about you, about your experience, and also make it personal in terms of the things that you personally enjoy doing or you like doing, which can make it stand out within other applications. So for example, I think you mentioned some examples, but things that you volunteered in doing or that you enjoy doing in your personal time, which in a way could be linked to the job that you're applying for. So perhaps if you're applying for a designer job, like a fashion designer, if you tell them that in your own time or in your free time you like drawing or you like to you like to paint, etc., this is all about creativity, about using colors and designs and painting, which relates to working as a fashion designer. So something like this. So use the skills or things that you do in your personal or in your own time, which could in a way be linked to the job that you are applying for. All right, good. Group 4, obviously the last participants. So the other ones, which is Abdul Qasim, Khalid, and Salah. Do you have anything else to add to what has been already said? If you could unmute yourself and if you have anything else to add.
Hello.
Hello.
So this group, I cannot communicate with each other as in the group. I try to communicate with them, but I didn't know what they reply.
They were silent.
No one replied. So all the things
yes,
that they said.
I joined the group and I didn't see anyone talking apart from you.
Yeah. That's why I said group 4, nobody replied. So now everything that they said, all the groups A and B and C, what they say about this video showed us about what about are going to do, how to apply the application or fill the application about. The first of things that I want to add, maybe they talk about the knowledge of your organization. You should know about your organization that you want to apply it or do. This one of the notes. And also the writing, not maybe write too long. I think they said about that. And also they talk about the motivation, or and you should write about your website and your business and everything. And you should specify or specified about what you are going to do, or maybe for your job, and also your skills, what you are maybe skillful about your skills, to show them about your skills. You should be a good behaviors and like many things. Because nobody communicate with me, Mr. Emad, that's why some notes I forget when I write.
That is fair enough. You've got some very good points here, and also you're the last group to talk. Other groups have mentioned many things that you already could have said. Well done. Yeah. But the things that you mentioned here, which I'm going to emphasize on, is the fact that the personal statement should not be too long. Yeah, make it concise, make it to the point. You don't want to keep bluffing about unnecessary things. Yeah, make it to the point. Every word in there should have a purpose, or every sentence in there should have a purpose to your application, and should all the sentences should work together to form one thing. Do not repeat things that you've already said in the first paragraph or the second paragraph. So just be careful, because the employer might get too bored so quickly, and you don't want this. So make it as short as possible, concise, to the point. But also one thing that you mentioned that was really important too, the fact that you have to do some homework, which is to do some research on the company you're applying for, to get to know what kind of activities they do, what things they are pride in, the things that they look for in applicants, etc. So do your homework. That would be your homework. So well done, everybody. Yep.
Mr. Emad, that's I think that's I note that personal statement, that's more details than CV, I think.
Absolutely. So we said the first one, which is a profile summary, which is a personal profile, that would be a short paragraph, no more than 150 words, written in your CV. The personal statement, which you use to apply for a job, that is something different. Some companies would ask you to provide a personal statement, and they would specify why they want the personal statement. So when I apply for a job here in the UK for a university, they ask me to provide a personal statement to say, how am I suitable for the job? How my skills, my qualifications and experience and personal skills relate directly to the personal, to the specific job that I'm applying for. Yeah. So if I, for example, have worked in another university, I could say that I've worked in that university, I've learned this and this and this, this is what I could bring to the job, etc., etc. So they would require this if they ask you to provide a personal statement. Yeah, so which is again will be longer than the one that you would put in your CV. The one you will put in your CV, a very short one, and I will show you an example of this now.
So, Mr. Personal statement for jobs, or we can for studying, apply application for study, or?
That is a third type. And at the beginning of today's session, I said we will look at 3 different types today. The first one is the very short one that you put in your CV. The second one is the longer one, which you will use to send it to your employer when you are applying for a job. And the third type, which we will be looking at later today, is about the personal statement, which you will use to apply for a university study.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I can see in the chat, Najla is saying personal statement should be updated. Absolutely, it should be up to date. You always need to work on it. And you should have different ones. I mean, you could have one, as I said earlier, I worked in translation, yeah, and I worked in teaching. So when I apply for a translation job, I would use the translation personal statement, because in there I will have included information about my work as a translator, as an interpreter, working for the UN, my qualification and experience in translation. But to apply for a teaching job, I will have a different personal statement of which I will state my teaching experience, my qualifications, my skills, etc., in the teaching career. So you should have different ones, and you should always update them. And in there also try to focus on examples. Don't make it too long. Don't make 3-4 pages personal statement. You want it short, concise, and to the point. Use the language in there that can catch the eye of the employer. The language should don't have to be academic, but make it formal, make it personal as well. What else? Provide examples, be specific, be unique. Yeah, to live up to your employer's expectations, absolutely, based on the job you apply for. Yeah, brilliant. So are we good to, I'm just going to share my screen and just give a brief on the personal statement that you use for a job. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you now is just a summary of what we talked about in terms of the personal statements for jobs. So personal statements are most commonly associated with applications for study, although many employers also use them in applications for jobs. Recruiters may ask you to write your personal statements in a certain format, but if there are no specific instructions, you may choose to write it as a piece of text with headings or paragraphs or under bullet points that match those of the job specification. I'm going to stop here for a second because I want to say something. When we say job specification, each job has got certain criteria, and employers would specify those criteria in the job that they will announce for. So what you would do as a smart person is that you look at the job specification and the skills in there and try to make your personal statement very relevant and matching each point said in the job specification. Bear that in mind, that's a clever note. That's why I personally do, and that's what professional advice people to do. Whichever structure you choose, don't make the employer have to guess or hunt around for your skills, qualifications, or experience. Make it easy for them to see that you have what they need. So when you write, I mean, let's say a paragraph of which you're talking about your personal skills. So say this at the beginning of your paragraph. In the first sentence, say, I have a lot of personal skills such as da 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 da, and then start speaking about each one individually, giving examples, etc., etc. Don't make the statement too long with superfluous detail, but neither should it be too short. Not too short, not too long. Be sure that you have included all the information asked for in enough detail so that you feel you've given a good account of yourself without boring the reader. You don't have to include everything you've ever done. The skill in writing a good personal statement is selecting the criteria that is most relevant. As I said, look for the job specifications. How can you write an experience or a skill that you have by providing an example of it that relates directly to the job specification? So be selective. Start with a strong opening paragraph, because that would get the reader to either continue writing your personal statement. Think about why you've decided to apply for the job. So describe what motivates you and attracts you to the job. I can't remember who mentioned this, but one of the teams here said you need to show your motivation for the job. Show that you have a realistic understanding of what is involved and can draw parallels with positive experiences you have already had, even if these have been in different settings. Think about why you've chosen this organization, which is part of your homework. So say why you want to work for this particular organization or employer. For example, this might be related to its clients, ethos, reputation, or staff development policy. Draw on the research you've done in preparation to apply. Don't just make up. Be honest about your reasons, although don't just say that the salary appeals, and try to write concisely. Make them match against the job description. That's what I was talking about. That's the smart thing. So work through the job description or personal specification. Stay clearly and provide evidence of how you match each requirement using the information you've gathered as part of preparing to apply. This can be an ideal opportunity for you to demonstrate your relevant skills, attributes, and specific knowledge. For example, if the job asks for experience in teamwork, provide a clear evidence of how and when you've developed this skill. Things you haven't had chance to tell them about in other parts of the form. So that's where you could say. So if you have the space, write about your leisure pursuits or interests. Although they may not be directly relevant to the job, you could have developed some pertinent transferable skills. All right, so I've got here some personal statement samples. I've put the links here, so I'm not going to open them now because we don't have enough time to look at all of them. But there are links here, and I can send you those links later, as we did last time. So we could, I could send you the whole PowerPoint presentation. That's if you want, and then the links would be there. You just click on there, and then that's going to take you to the link to the sample. And finally, make sure that you end your statement positively. For a sample, you could use the final paragraph to reinforce your motivation and commitment. Keep to any word count and check your spelling and grammar. Recruiters will be looking for evidence of your written communication skills. So make sure that you check your spelling and grammar. That could be easily done by writing in a Word document or using applications such as Grammarly, etc. Get a second opinion from friends or family, or ideally someone who is knowledgeable about the job you're applying for, such as a working professional. And always keep a copy of your application form ready for that all-important interview. Because once you've applied, they might be asking you questions in the interview, if you've been selected, that are mentioned in your personal statement. So yeah, pay attention to all this. Yeah, I was planning to give you a little break, but again, I'm conscious about the time. I love the fact that you all interacting, and that interaction and discussion questions all get us to go over the time a little bit, but I'm super happy that you're interacting and you find it interesting. So I'm not sure whether you do need a break. Do you need a break? If you want a break, I can stop now, 5 minutes, and then we can carry on after that. Would you like a little break? 5 minutes, quick break? Yes or no? Okay, so some people want to pray, some people says yes. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little break, 5 minutes, guys. Be back after 5 minutes. I'll carry on after 5 minutes. Right? See you soon. All right, so I hope that you've all taken a little nice break and that you're all back here now. Can I just ask, is everyone back? Say yes in the chat box if you all are here, guys. Well, I'm gonna start anyway. I'm not going to wait. Yeah, because there are some people already here. Right, so let's crack on. Share screen again, presentation. Okay, so we previously talked about writing a personal statement in a CV, the short one, and writing a proper long personal statement to apply for a job. Now, what we're going to look at now is a personal statement for courses or when you apply for university. And that's what, was it Khalid who was asking me about this? Khalid, I think. Yeah, so this is the one that you apply for university to study for them. I'm going to play this video again. So that's a different one. That's a different video. It's not the same one we watched before. Share sound. Okay. Again, this video will explain to you what you should write in a personal statement for university, to study for university. You don't have, well, I'm not going to put you in groups after the video because I don't think we have enough time for that. But what I want you to do is to listen very carefully, try to take notes for yourself. Then I might ask you in the chat after the video, and I'm going to play only once. So I might ask you in the chat to write 1 or 2 things that you remember from the video. We'll do it quicker this way because we've got other things to look at as well. And I don't want to skip the quiz that we have at the end, which you all liked last time. All right.
If you're applying for courses in the UK, you'll probably need to complete a personal statement as part of the application form. This is a blank section for you to write about yourself, so it's often the most difficult part, but also...
Can I just confirm, can you hear the video? I'm always paranoid. Yeah, okay.
The most crucial. This is your space to sell yourself to the admissions tutor and tell them exactly why they should choose you. Admissions tutors won't have long to read your statement, so start with a strong opening paragraph to grab their attention. Throughout your statement, try to be original in what you write. Decide on your unique selling points and make sure they're relevant to the course you wish to study. If you're applying for courses through UCAS, the Universities and Colleges Admissions Service, you can apply to up to 5 institutions. So don't write about why you want to study at each one, because your application is going to get sent to all of them. So instead, state what you really like about the subject. If you're applying to an individual institution, perhaps for a postgraduate course, you can state why it appeals to you. Does the institution have a reputation in your subject, or are there specific academics that you wish to work with? Whether you're applying for undergraduate or postgraduate study, describe how your interest and knowledge in this subject has developed so far, and give examples of related coursework that you've enjoyed and excelled at. Provide convincing examples of how you can match the course specification. This is your chance to demonstrate your relevant skills and knowledge by completing projects, writing essays, or making presentations, which will help you to be successful on the course. Skills could also include communication, teamworking, problem solving, and other things. Also include the skills you've gained through work experience, volunteering, work shadowing, or through memberships of clubs and societies. Many of these will be really relevant to your application. Think about your future career plans and goals. Although you don't need to be too specific, try to think how the course really will help you. It will demonstrate your commitment to do well in your studies. Make sure your goals are realistic and you've given them careful consideration, providing evidence of what has inspired you. If you have the space, set out other experiences that you think are of interest. For example, you might write about your interests or leisure activities, not necessarily relevant to the course, but where you've gained some great skills and experience. End your statement with a positive and lasting impression. You could re-emphasise your motivation and commitment to the course, or provide a relevant and memorable fact about yourself, something that admissions tutors will remember you by. Make sure you write in plain English and check for spelling and grammar. Structure your statement with paragraphs so that it flows well. If it is difficult to follow or you've left in spelling mistakes, the admissions tutor might not make you an offer. Make sure you keep within the limits of the maximum number of words or lines of text, so don't ramble or repeat yourself. Finally, make sure you proofread your statement and get someone else to look over it too. Once you've sent in your application, make sure you keep a copy. If you're invited to interview, you'll need to look over it and remember what it was you wrote. So good luck.
Okay, so Abdullah is asking, how is relate? I'm sorry, I don't get the question. Could you be more specific? Yeah, so this one is about applying for a university and a personal statement that you would apply for university. Could I ask everyone here to write a sentence or something that you remember from the video about writing a personal statement for the university? Start with strong and attractive opening paragraph. Absolutely, yes. How is related and unrelated experience fitted to personal statements? Yes. Okay. How they are, yeah, how they relate to the course that you are applying for. Providing convincing examples. Yeah. Your future careers and goals. Make sure you proofread your personal statement. That is very important. You should write about your experience and skills. Yeah. About your future career and goals, they said something about them. They said they have to be what? They have to be realistic. You could see here some similarities between the personal statement that you write for a job and the personal statement that you write for a university. But at the same time, there are also some differences. So for the one that you apply for a job, you obviously, one of the similarities is that you want to be very specific in terms of the experiences, background, education, the situations that you will be given, etc. But one of the differences is when you apply for a course or to a university, if you're applying, let's say, for a degree in translation, you don't have to write for each specific university that you will apply for. If you don't have time, you could write one personal statement for all the universities. And in that personal statement, do not specify the university that you talk about. Instead, just focus on the course that you want to study, your objectives, your career goals, etc. So concentrate on your strength, find the perfect opening sentence, be honest, get someone to proofread your statement. Yes, brilliant. So let's see what I have to say about this here. Somebody said something in the chat. You should write about your experience and skills. Yeah. So personal statements can be one of the most daunting aspects of an application form, as you need to write about yourself, your interests and motivation. These can be part of a job or course application. So we will look at both situations. So we obviously looked at the job one. So we now looked at the university one. So applying through CAS is universities, colleges application. So it's like a system that you use to, or a service that you use to apply for universities or colleges, but that's here in the UK. If you're applying through UCAS, you don't need to name the institutions in your statements or describe why you would like to study at that one in particular. Unless you're only applying for one university and you know everything about the university and you want to address it to them, then that's fine. Instead, state why you really like the subject, how your interest in it has developed, and provide examples of coursework that you have enjoyed and excelled at. This is different to applying for a job, because when you apply for a job, you have to be specific about that company that you're applying for and why you're applying for it. And you need to do homework and research the company. Whereas here, that is not a priority in writing a personal statement for the university. If you're applying directly to an institution, perhaps for a postgraduate course or professional training, you can state why you want to study there. Does it have a reputation in your field? Is the mode of studying appealing? Are there specific academics or teachers you wish to work with? Are there other reasons for choosing this institution? Show that you have investigated details about the course or research and that you are motivated to pursue it. So that would be your research here. You need to research the area or the course that you are about to study. For example, is the program noted for a particular specialism or highly regarded for its training? And explain how you became interested in this area and what have you learned about it and what insights have you gained. How long should your personal statement be? There's no maximum word count, but you will need to remain within the 4,000 character limit. This is character, not a word. Character is like a letter or a space. So each type you put on your keyboard, that's a character. So it should be within 4,000 characters. But also when you apply for university, they might be specific. They might specify exactly how many words you should write. So UCAS recommend that you write your personal statement in Microsoft Word before copying and pasting it in the online application form. This is because an application page times out after being active after 35 minutes. So you will still need to count for how individual characters are counted differently between Microsoft Word and the online form. But also at the same time, because when you put it on Word, it checks your grammar, punctuation, and all this. Describe your specific academic goals or career aims and show how you think the course or postgraduate research will help you. Try to be realistic in what you hope to achieve to convince the admissions team that you've given it serious thought. It will also demonstrate your commitment and motivation to succeed. Make the match against the course. Make the match against the course specification. Just like when you apply for a job, you read the specifications of a job, and then you try to match your experience, knowledge, qualifications with it. Exactly the same thing when it comes to applying for a university. So you look at the course specifications and try to match your skills and experience with them. Work experience also, depending on the course, some institutions will expect you to have already undertaken a period of directly relevant work experience. Provide details, including what you've learned and how you feel you've developed as a result. Even if you don't need specific prior experience, think about any recent work experience that you've done, including part-time or temporary jobs or volunteering or work shadowing. What skills have you developed as a result that would be relevant to your application? And you could include motivation, time management, decision-making, and many more. Also, it could be a chance for you to put the things that you haven't had chance to tell them about in other parts of the form. So you might use your personal statement to set out experiences that you feel are of secondary importance. In other words, things that are still relevant, but which you haven't written about earlier in the form. as they are not as important. You may be asked to provide other specific information. For example, if you're applying for postgraduate study, you may need to include a research proposal. If you're not sure about information, you should contact the institution's admissions team to clarify the matters. As I said, depending on what course you're applying for, things will be different. Also, depending on what institutions or what degree, everything is going to be different. So you have to check what criteria or what requirements are for each organization or for each institution. Here are some links for sample personal statements. I've got here law personal statements, psychology, and teaching personal statements. Some of you may be doing something similar, you might be doing something different, but the structure and the layout should be more or less the same. So you just have a look at this later on your own time, because it's quite long. Again, I can't go through all of them. But the links are here. So finally, be clear and concise when you write, keeping within any word count, and make sure that you check for spelling and grammar. The admission team will also review your writing ability, so be careful. Try to end a high note with a positive concluding statement. It's vital that your writing is impressive. So get a second opinion as well and show it to friends and family, and ideally someone who's knowledgeable about the course you're applying for, such as a working professional or course tutor, and keep a copy of your statement for yourself. You will need it if you're called for an interview. I have to apologize for the noise that's coming from, I think, my neighbor. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there's some people doing some work in the next flat that I live in. So I'm sorry if there's too much noise here. I'm going to quickly go through these, which is things that you should avoid when writing your personal statements. So as you will only have the one statement, it's important not to mention universities by name. So unless you plan on applying for just a single institution, remember that admission staff may not share your sense of humor, so steer clear of anything that might get misinterpreted. Refrain from using cliches or making arrogant statements. Be confident but not arrogant. Resist any temptation to use somebody else's own work. Use your own work, make it your own one. There is similarity detection services that UCAS use, so do not copy anything. Be careful not to ramble. Don't be so talkative. Be concise, specific, and to the point. Check your personal statement and the rest of your application carefully to make sure that there are no spelling or grammatical mistakes. And don't use the word etc., which I always use when I talk, but don't use it in your personal statement. Something has been written in the chat. Abdullah is saying that he lost the voice. Can you guys hear me? You can hear me. All right, okay. I'm sorry, Abdullah. The session is recorded anyway, so you'll be able to see it later. On here, because I know that some of you are going to love this, I put here links to lists of vocabulary that you could use to write your personal statement. That is being for either a job personal statement, or for a CV personal statement, or for a university personal statement. For the three types, you will find loads of very, very good, catchy words that you could use in your personal statements here in those links. And finally, the quiz. But before I get to the quiz and send you the link, do you have any questions? Any questions? Right, so whilst you're thinking about questions, I'm just going to quickly summarize what we talked about today. So today we discussed three different types of personal statements. One is the personal statement that we write in the CV, the short one, which is no more than 150 words. The second type is a longer one, which you might be asked to write by your future employer if they ask you to provide a personal statement. We looked at how this one would look like too. And the third type, which is the one that you provide for university, we talked about things that you would need to include. And before I forget, let me actually send you a very good handout that I have here. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, again, I can't attach it. I can't attach it from my computer. Again, I can't attach it to the chat, but like I might send it to you later. It's nice to send us this lecture too. Okay. Did you receive the documents from the previous lecture? We need more sample of personal statements. Okay, 1 second. Actually, I do have samples, and I can send you the links to them. I can send you PDF files. Okay, so that's a link to a website that has some samples. You could have a look at this link, but also I've got other PDF files that I can share with you. But perhaps, yeah, I'll work with this with the management, and I'll send them the documents, and then they can send them to you. Are we ready for the quiz, the online quiz? Some of you will get excited because someone is asking whether the personal statement that you may use when applying to a scholarship is any different. It's like applying for a university. You're applying for a university, isn't it? So you're applying for a course, so it should be the same, or should have the very similar structure to it. I have a template. Like a PDF template that tells you what to write in each section. So just like a question and then a box where you write everything. I think that's going to be very, very helpful if you're applying for a scholarship or a university. I'm going to send you this one too. But I don't think it should be any different to applying for a scholarship, unless unless in your scholarship they have particular questions or things that you want you to include, which I believe will mainly be about your skills and experience and why you fit for this and why you're suitable for it. But you will be able to link this with the main structure that we have. I'm sure by looking at the personal statement requirements that they will ask you to do, or if they don't, I'm sure that this one that we've talked about today is absolutely relevant to it, so you should be able to do it. Make a quick revision, please, to gain a high score. Well, as I said, the only thing I can say at this point, we've got 3 types of personal statements. The CV one, the short one, 150 words. The second one, a longer one, but not too long, not too short. You use it for a job. The third one is for university. And all of them really is about who you are, what kind of skills you are going to bring to either the job that you're applying for or to the course, what interests you in that job or in that employer, and what interests you in that course you're going to study. I'm not going to say anything more than this because we're running out of time, and I want to give enough time for the quiz. Are we all ready for the quiz? Okay, I'm going to send the link in the chat box, and I'm also going to explain what it is and how it works, because I'm sure that there are some new people here. Okay, so I'm going to send you a link now. What I want you to do, click on the link. It will open a page. You will put your name in there. Okay, and then a series of questions will come up. You will have to be quick in reading the question and answering the question correctly, you'll have different choices. Some of them are true and false, some of them are multiple choices. The quicker you are, the more score you get. And they're all about today's session. And I hope that you're going to like it. So send this one, I think it's going to be share this and then that. Okay, could see some people joining in, popping up here on the screen. All right. People got really competitive last time. They were like, you're so excited about it. I hope you like it too this time. Thanks, Aya. Yeah. So far I've got 8 players only, although we do have about 22 participants. So I hope to see 22 players here in the game too. Ten participants. I'm waiting for 11 participants. Come on, guys, be quick. I'm gonna resend the link for those who haven't done it yet. That's the link. For those who put the names, you don't have to follow that link. It's the same. I'm just resending it to those who have joined or for those who didn't manage to get it first time. So far, there are only 11 participants. Okay, I'm just gonna start because I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna start the game now. Oh yes, so yeah, we've got 7 people who've completed the quiz. I'm still waiting for the others. Just gonna give them some more time because they joined late. Oh, Salah has gone above another one. Okay. Najla is also progressing. So far, Saliha or Saliha, Haneen, Aya are top 3. Okay, I'm just now looking at the time. It's already 3 o'clock here. So I'm just going to end the quiz and see the top 5 people. So we've got the top 3. Congratulations. Salih has number 1, Haneen is number 2, Aya is number 3. Well done, the 3 of you. And then we've got Hamuda, Saliha, Aya. They've got 100% accuracy, so they've answered all the questions correctly. Well done, everybody. That was the quiz. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me quickly end the session. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming today and attending this session with us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you now have a better idea of how to write a personal statement. I'm going to send you a link. Thank you for this image.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Emad. And maybe we'll take a 5-minute question. If you have any question, just raise your hand.
Do we still have time for this? You don't mind it?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Fantastic. There's no other lectures after that, is there?
No, if you have time.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm very happy to take any questions. So thank you very much, guys, for coming. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We have 5 minutes for questions now. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you.
Okay, I think they don't have any question, I think.
Yeah, they're just saying thanks, and they say that they thank you. Yeah, so apparently no questions, which is great. But yeah, I will send the slides and the documents that I have, and I'm glad to see some comments saying that it was enjoyable. Right. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. It was nice meeting you all, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Emad, and thank you for all.
I'm sorry, there's one person who's got their hand up. Aya Salim, do you want to say something, Aya? You can unmute yourself and ask the question if you have any. Oh, just send the documents, is that it, maybe? Khalid, yes, go on, Khalid, if you want to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Emad, about today about this lecture. And just we need the links for documents, if you don't mind, to send to us. And more
I'll think about
it. More sample about personal statement to do practice. And thank you.
You're very welcome. Yes, I will do. I was only joking. Yes, I will do. I'll send you several samples. The documents that I have will have samples of personal statements, but also in this document, in the slides here, you will also have links to samples and to things that I also suggest that you use those links to go and see the other samples. The majority of them will be here on the slides, but there are other extra documents that I have, which I'm happy to share with you as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aya? تفضلي آية.
Yes, thank you. I just want to ask Mr. Emad, when I want to apply for like WHO or the UNICEF, and they ask for like a personal statement, is it going to be the same, or should I like concentrate on more specific area regardless these organizations, or just like focus on what I want from this organization?
So when you say WHO or the UN, is it to go to work for them as what, as a professional to work for them?
Yes, like a doctor, yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's a job then. So when it's a job, then it's a personal statement for a job, which is the second type we talked about. So you talk about your personal skills, your experience, your qualifications, and what things you can bring to the organization as well. What is it that you have specifically that you think you can add value to them?
Yeah, it's clear. But what if it was like a volunteer?
Yeah, I would still think it's the same, because yeah, you're just saying, what do you have to offer to them? So as a volunteer, what kind of skills do you have? What kind of knowledge do you have? Do you have any previous volunteering experiences? Do you want to, and then give them examples of how you were a good volunteer, or how you've helped other organizations or other people? Focus on the skills that you have. Yeah, just make sure that you deliver to them that you are a good volunteer, that you're going to add something to them, that you have good communication skills, that you're also a good learner, that you're going to learn anything that they will train you on, if there's going to be any training. But also, if it's a volunteering job, show them why you like volunteering and why you want to help other people.
Yes, okay, thank you so much. It was really, really amazing lecture. Thank you, Mr. Emad.
Thank you very much. That's such a nice thing to say. Thank you very much. It was lovely to hear this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, enjoy the quiz. What should mention in attached letter, not PS? I'm not sure I get your question, Abdullah. What should mention in a chat? I'm not sure really, Abdullah. Could you ask your question in a different way? Najla, do you have another session soon? I'm afraid not. I think this is that's the only 2 sessions that I'm giving. Are there any other sessions, Dr. Mohammed?
No, in Ramadan.
No.
Maybe after Ramadan, with a course or something like that.
Yeah, so maybe after Ramadan there will be some courses that will be given. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I really like unique manner imagine the class, the effective method and act. Thank you very much, Najla. That's such a lovely feedback. Thank you. Abdullah saying personal statement. What about the personal statement, Abdullah? So what should mention? And letter and CV. Oh, do you want like a session about a cover letter and a CV? Those are different things. Like cover letter. A cover letter is very similar to a personal statement, but it just has a different layout and different structure to it. But CV is a different story. I mean that. But I'm sure that there are websites because so far we're not doing any sessions on these. But the only thing I can advise you now is try to use Google to look for CV samples or CV builders. So there are websites or tools that you could use to just basically put your details in there, and then they create a document for you that is in a CV format. And also you can have different styles of it. Cover letter and PS, not CV. Yeah, what about the cover letter? As I said, the cover letter is very similar to a personal statement, but it has a different layout to it. the personal statement. Yeah, we talked about the personal statement today, and the materials are here. You could also watch the recording of this lecture later on your own. I think it's have we put this on Facebook, Doctor?
Yes.
Is it on Facebook or on YouTube?
On YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. So okay, so we've got the session live on YouTube. So yeah, you made my day with the interesting class. Oh, Najla, thank you very much, Najla. You made my day with your comments. Thank you. I'm glad that it was helpful and useful. Abdullah, PS is more general. No, I wouldn't say it's more general. It's more specific about you as a person. That's why it's called personal statement. So it's not very generic. It's personal statement about yourself. Well, as I said, what I would advise you to do, I'm not sure if you've attended the lecture from the beginning, but if you watch the lecture again from the beginning, you will see what a personal statement is, and you will see everything. We talked about it all today in today's session. But thank you so much thanks everybody for the lovely feedback and the lovely comments, and thanks for coming, thanks for participating, and all this. Do you have another session about how to write CV? Thanks, Mr. Emad. I could possibly, if Dr. Muhammad is happy for me to do this.
Okay, I think this end now.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Emad.
Thanks, Doctor, for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Eid Mubarak, inshallah.
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak, everybody, and have a lovely day. And see you later. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.